and welcome to the Builder Strength Construction, Architectural, Design, and Fire Safety online outlets throughout the country who we've invited to come and learn a little bit about Builder Strength, not only the campaign in general, but some of the things that we've been working on and will be working on in the next couple months, and as well as a few tactical issues that Gregg Lewis, who's on the phone, is going to talk about towards the end of it from the NRMCA. For those of you who don't know, and I think most of you probably do because you've seen a lot of our outreach in the last year, Builder Strength is a coalition of the National Ready-Mix Concrete Association who has been working in significant and important markets throughout the United States to talk about concrete, the strengths of concrete, and how it can be used, the different applications of it. You are probably familiar with our Builder Strength website. You are probably familiar with the op-eds, the multimedia content, and the press releases that we've been sending. But if you have not, if you haven't seen it, our mission is to educate the building and design communities and policymakers on the benefits of ready-mix concrete, and most of all to encourage its use as the building material of choice for low to mid-rise structures. The reason that we've done this webinar here today, specifically for members of the media who write about these issues and cater to these different communities, is because one of our key goals, if not the top goal, is to keep the media informed about our activities so that you can accurately report the things that we're doing, as our target audiences are your listeners, your readers, your viewers. And specifically today, we've reached out to the online and blogger communities because of a belief that we have that the architectural and design communities, being visually based, really lend themselves to online multimedia content. And we want to make sure that the content we're designing and the content we're using is the type of stuff that you guys can use, can comment on, critically or not, for your websites, for your blogs, for your online columns, those type of things. This is a long campaign that we have engaged in, and it's one that we want to make sure that we are creating the types of images, the types of content, and you'll see some videos here today that are accurate, that are informed, and that are useful to our partners in the media. So that's who we are. What we've been doing so far has pretty much consisted of market rollouts that a lot of you have witnessed. We started in Washington, D.C. Well, we actually started in San Diego at the NRMCA convention where we launched the Builder Strength campaign to begin with, and we've had smaller market-specific launches as we've gone. Well, we started with Washington, D.C., where we held the first panel under the Builder Strength headline, and we had content in the Washington Post. We then went on to Seattle, Washington, where we issued a number of press releases specifically talking about fire safety, especially as we got to the part of the year where there was a number of forest fires. We ran some op-eds and had a very significant presence on social media in Seattle as well. And most recently, we spent a week talking about Chicago, Illinois, and using it as an example of both strong and durable concrete construction, but also aesthetically pleasing architecture, to talk to folks about how the two of those things are not mutually exclusive. One of the best ways we did that was through a video that we launched in Chicago. I'm going to give fair warning here as we play this video. If you are actually on mobile, you will most likely not hear the audio, but the video is on builderstrength.com, and we encourage everyone to go there and watch it and see other ones. So if you're on your desktop, you should have full capabilities here, but if you're on mobile, stand with us for about 2 minutes while the video plays, and we'll be right back.
The city of Chicago was originally built on wood. It worked until it didn't. What happened next was the seismic architectural shift.
Really, we got into concrete very heavily late 19th century, early 20th century, as a way to meet building codes that were put into place, frankly, after the Chicago fire, where the whole city that was stick-built got wiped out.
Suddenly, wood was out, and non-combustible materials like steel, masonry, and concrete were in. It was a movement that paved the way for something stronger, safer, inspiring. Groundbreaking. Breathtaking.
interested in the long-term sustainability, both of the community and financing, we'll have to look at concrete-based structures as opposed to steel.
Whether it's adding strength from the outside or the inside out, it makes you wonder if concrete is the material of choice for some of the most iconic structures in the world. Why wouldn't it be the choice for your next low to mid-rise project?
So that's an explanation of some of the things we've been doing to date. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you go to Build with Strength, you can see that and other videos as well that are market-specific and others that are more overarching messaging about the strength and durability of concrete, and we encourage you to use them as you see fit. So what's next for Build with Strength? A number of things. We plan on continuing our market rollouts in places that are critical to the debate for any number of reasons. Some places in the country are seeing significant construction, and we'd like to influence that by letting people know more about concrete in the low to mid-rise market. Other places, there is legislation, one way or the other, that this organization and others will be advocating for or against, and it'll be very important for us to have our voice there as well. And some places, you know, New York, for instance, there's a lot of issues with Hurricane Sandy and the development of those areas that we'd like to talk about, and we'd like to make sure concrete is having its voice heard, but it's also the media capital of the country, and that we want to make sure we're influencing the different publications that come out of there, and that we're giving the resources and components that you need to write and to produce accurately on our efforts, and that we're having a continuing conversation. But we are not just about top-line messaging and how strong and durable concrete is. We are actually going out there and we are putting content together that talks about specific applications of concrete that architects and designers and developers and investors should be aware of, and consumers should ultimately be aware of as well. So for that, I'm going to turn it over to the expert in it, Gregg Lewis of the NRMCA. He's the Senior Director of Building and Innovations, but also importantly, Gregg's an architect. And he can talk very accurately about the work that we're doing and how it will affect real projects, existing projects, and new projects. So I'm going to turn it over to Gregg to talk a little bit about ICF for a little bit.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. Delighted to have a chance to talk to you today about our program and a couple of examples in particular of elements that we're very excited to present to you as part of the Build with Strength campaign. The first of these is a building system that we think is going to really pave the way going forward on creating better buildings in terms of the performance of the buildings, in terms of the fire safety aspect of the building, durability and strength. And that is insulated concrete forms. And you can see from the diagram here, it may look complicated, but the actual construction of an insulated concrete form structure is very straightforward. You get essentially a sandwich panel that consists of, as you can see in the diagram, two layers of foam, rigid foam insulation that are tied together with plastic ties. Those are stacked up, not unlike the way you might stack Lego bricks. And once they are stacked and put in place, the contractor puts reinforcing steel into that wall cavity, and then they pump ready-mix concrete into the core. And what you end up with when that material consolidates and cures is a structure that is perhaps one of the best performing building envelopes available, certainly for the money, in this country, in the construction sector. And so we're very excited to have the opportunity to showcase its attributes for you today and talk a little bit about how we think this product can revolutionize low to mid-rise construction sector for a variety of building types. So what we're going to do next, if you could forward the slide, Kevin, is look at how insulated concrete forms stacks up against conventional lightweight wood framing. And there are a number of ways, obviously, as the graphic points out, that ICFs are and should be considered the product of choice when one thinks about the future of building in the low to mid-rise sector. Resilience is at the top of that list, and I think the reasons for that are or should be quite clear. Kevin mentioned earlier the issues related to Hurricane or Superstorm Sandy in New Jersey. What we're after is making sure that the built environment is capable of standing up to the natural disasters that we face in seemingly increasing numbers around the country, whether it's wildfires out west or severe storms in the east or tornadoes in the middle part of the country. Insulated concrete forms and concrete construction in general provide a level of resilience that simply cannot be matched by other building materials. The second item here is efficient, mentioned as efficient, but we're talking here really about energy efficiency and the benefits that you get from continuous wall insulation on a building. We've got a project that we've been working on in the Metro New York area, which is a 16-story insulated concrete form multifamily project that is slated to become a passive house certified structure, which if you're not familiar with passive house, this is an extremely rigorous energy efficiency standard developed by the Germans and is head and shoulders really above even the highest LEED certification standard when it comes to energy efficiency. So just by using this product, you can capture an extraordinary level of energy efficiency benefits for a building owner and for the clients or residents of that building. Safety is the number one issue here for most of us who are professionals in the building environment. It is our job, first and foremost, to make sure that our clients and customers and people occupying our buildings are safe. And the best way to do that is to build with non-combustible construction. There's simply no other way to capture the essence of safety and be sure that the folks that we're building our buildings for can sleep soundly and safely at night. Insulated concrete forms obviously contribute significantly to that effort. It's fast and simple, as I mentioned before. It's not unlike stacking Lego bricks and can be done with a very small crew. You can put a building up much more quickly in many cases than a team of carpenters can frame up a multi-story building. And at the end of the day, what we think is one of the other attributes that are worth mentioning is that we can, in fact, lower greenhouse emissions as a result of the exemplary energy performance available by using insulated concrete forms in our projects. So those are just a couple of the examples of why we think insulated concrete forms are a product that we hope will be used in increasing ways. It certainly seems to be that's where we're headed, and look forward to working with you to talk about more ways that can happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg, and we'll hear back from Greg a little bit towards the end as well. I wanted to take a moment to point out here that while that is the technical explanation, the Builder Strength campaign is also about showing real-world applications. And on our website and some things that have been distributed, we have case studies. In this case, what you're seeing right now is a case study that we put together on the Roy Street Commons in Seattle, Washington, an ICF building, a greener, stronger ICF building. On the website, there are other case studies of other applications of concrete and other attributes of concrete, strong building, aesthetically pleasing buildings, and low-cost buildings as well. So we will be featuring these type of real-world applications on the site and through a lot of our media outreach. We are out and about identifying these structures, talking to people who are building them, people who did build them, and residents and developers and investors to find these case studies. And we would also love to have an open dialogue with members of the media about these types of buildings, how they can be focused, and how we can work with you on identifying them if they happen to be among your readership or in your community or anything like that. The next thing that we have is, in addition to the one-pagers that Greg was walking you through just there, we've again created multimedia content, which we think is we hope is very beneficial to the folks who write and work and produce for blogs and for websites as well. We have a video on ICF Construction that is about 2 minutes long, actually about 1.5 minutes long. We'd like to share it with you today, and we'd also like to, again, remind you that if you are listening to this on mobile, You might be without sound for the next minute and a half, but it can be found on our website, and we'll be happy to share this after the webinar as well. So here's an in-depth look at ICFs.
We've been in the wood business our whole lives. Wood is everything we do. My dad and I we're carpenter. You know, so we love wood. Even us who have this heart attachment to wood, we see that concrete is going to be the new. It's stronger, it stands better, and right now there's a product out there that makes it even more energy efficient. We have a product called ICF, insulated concrete forms. Basically what it is, it's a Lego block in styrofoam and plastic. It's stronger, it stands better, flat foam around both sides. You can able to just stack the block, frame it, and then pour the concrete. You're twice as fast as a wood wall. Yeah, ICF is faster. Concrete doesn't combust as wood does. That's true. When you stack foam against concrete, it's the most insulated envelope on the market. It's a far better product for an exterior envelope of a building than any wood wall.
So again, that's another example of the things you can expect from the Build with Strength campaign as we move forward. Things that are not only multimedia components that are not only applicable to specific markets, but as well as specific uses of concrete such as ICF. And we're able to talk about the tactical parts of it, the nuts and bolts that Gregg walked you through, but also provide the multimedia components that we think will be interesting to your readers. And the last thing we'd like to get to today before we let everybody go is to talk a little bit about the Design Assistance Center at the NRMCA. Ultimately, we are hoping to drive your readers, the architects, developers, designers, fire safety professionals, members of our coalition. We're looking to drive them to the Design Assistance Center because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we take these applications, such as ICF, and show people who are looking on a new project or an existing project how they can actually use it in the real world to build a safer, more durable product. So to explain what the Design Assistance Center does, I'm going to again ask Gregg to join us and talk a little bit about his work at the Design Assistance Center and how your readers can benefit from it.
Thank you, Kevin. When we talk about the Design Assistance Center or the Concrete Design Center, what we're really talking about is a mechanism that allows architects, engineers, developers, contractors, and building owners to access the best information available and the best consultants available to support their efforts to more cost-effectively integrate ready-mixed concrete into their building projects. And there are a number of ways that we're able to do this and have done this. Over the past year, we've worked with a number of project stakeholders all across the country to help them better use concrete and to take advantage of the many benefits of building with concrete, even while they may not themselves have the expertise or the knowledge to do so effectively. And so what we've found as a result of the Design Center efforts is that we can really add additional value to the design and development process for those involved in trying to deliver the best buildings possible. And so there are a variety of ways that we're doing this, and one of them is through direct outreach. And we're hearing now more and more from architects and developers and others who say, I don't have the experience to do this, and even though I feel that concrete is the best product to use, I'm not comfortable detailing a concrete structure. What we're able to do is to connect those individuals with our team of consultants in whatever geography or for whatever type of building they're looking at, and make sure that they're getting the best information available, the state of the art, and whatever innovations are available, that information is also in turn made available to the folks that we're interacting with. It's a tremendous opportunity and I think a phenomenal resource for folks in the building industry to take advantage of this free service in such a way that they can build better using the material that they want to use, which in so many cases appears to be ready-mix concrete. So we're very excited about that. The pieces of the design assistance process includes a number of elements. We provide structural design. We allow our consultants to work directly with your consultants in such a way that we're making sure that construction detailing is done the most effective and efficient way possible. That takes expertise, and it's expertise that our consultants can bring to the table without exception. Cost estimating, obviously in the building arena, cost is king more often than not, and one of the things that is sure to lead the conversation with the project team is, well, how much is it going to cost? So one of the things that we're able to do for folks that we are engaging with through the Design Center is to provide them with cost estimating support and make sure that they have the best cost data available in the geography where they're considering building a project. Another avenue that we can support a project team is through energy analysis, making sure that when they look at how that building is expected to perform, that they recognize when they've designed a building with or without our assistance, that building performs above what their expectations are when they sit down to do that initial design. We can do that by modeling the energy, and at the end of the day, when the building is finished, can support the efforts ultimately so that when they're looking to actually confirm those numbers, we can check back and verify that process as well. And then finally, one of the elements that we find increasingly developers and architects and others are interested in is making sure that the building is going to optimize the potential for LEED certification. More and more, LEED is the goal in many of the projects that we're consulting on, and one of the benefits of building with concrete, as many of those who do it understand, is it contributes significantly as a product to higher and higher levels of LEED certification. So there are a whole host of ways that the Design Center can support the design community and developers and contractors, and we're a phone call or email away from being able to bring our expertise and our team of consultants to bear on a project for your readers, and we'll look forward, obviously, to doing that. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. We've reserved some time right now for some questions, and you can ask us a question via the chat function on the WebEx webinar. But I would like to also make clear that we don't want to restrain your ability to ask questions to the next 10 minutes here. We are always available, and if there's a question that takes a little bit of research or an expert, the Builder Strength Campaign is here to find that person for you, whether it is a fire safety professional, an architect, somebody building with these products, or possibly somebody at the NRMCA, which in the case of Greg you have right now. And there is one question which will be for Greg. The question is, what must be done to protect the polystyrene foam from wildfires?
The only protection, it's an excellent question, and it's one that comes up periodically, but the only thing that needs to be done to protect that foam, rigid foam insulation on the inside and the outside is what you would do with a building anyway, and that is put on a layer of sheeting. So, for example, on the inside, you would obviously put on something, let's say drywall or plaster or sheetrock, and on the exterior, the cladding, whatever that cladding material might be, steel or metal panels or brick or stucco, those materials are the things that ultimately will provide that protection to keep the material from combusting.
Thanks. And another question, Greg, is to date, what type of market share have we seen for IFC? Are people, architects, adopting it at any rate? Do you expect it to increase, decrease over the next year?
Well, insulated concrete forms is the kind of product that once an architect has gotten his or her hands on it, they find it very difficult to put down. And so the overall market share question, I don't have data in terms of what the penetration percentage or rate is, but I do know that the folks that we interact with on a regular basis who are either designing with it building with it or developing projects with it, once they've gone down this road and understood all of the benefits of building with insulated concrete forms, they don't turn back. It's a product that with very little upfront investment of time and learning, you get to a place, a comfort level fairly quickly with using it. It's a very simple product to use, regardless of the product. And so my expectation is when you talk about how this is going to ramp up in terms of demand over the months and years ahead, is there's no question that this will increase, I would guess, probably significantly in the years ahead.
Great. Thanks, Greg. There's one last question here before we come up on the half hour, and the question is, what are the current costs? And Greg, we understand if there's some parts here that we might need to come back and get answered later, or additionally we'll do that as well, but what are the current costs of ICF relative to other building materials? Is the price expected to move in the future? Greg's an architect and not necessarily an economist, but I think he can help out a little bit on this.
Absolutely, Kevin, and it's another good question. As I said before, cost is king, and everybody wants to know what the material costs. I can tell you from the interactions that we're having that ICF, depending on the market, depending on the building type, and depending on the contractor's level of comfort or experience with the product, can be cost competitive on first cost with stick frame construction. We've seen evidence of that in numerous cases, even where the cost difference puts ICF a percentage point or two above building with stick frame construction. As the video showed earlier in the presentation, ICF can win on speed as well, and since time is money, the owner saves money on their construction loan and ultimately reduces that cost by increasing or rather accelerating the construction schedule. So it can be cost competitive. It is oftentimes a lower cost, again, depending on the specific project parameters. But at the end of the day, the best way to find out is to get a good ICF design for a project and have it priced in a competitive bid environment. That's the way to make sure you're getting the best price, obviously.
Great. So we are at 2 o'clock right now, and I'd like to thank everybody for participating, and again remind them that if they visit the Build with Strength website, buildwithstrength.com, you can see all the videos and more that we've talked about today. And also feel free to reach out to us about these particular issues that we talked about today, future Build with Strength events, or any other information you want about the market and concrete products. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the day.